reminder that if you need a certificate of attendance, please let us know before you leave today. Also, before you leave, take your name tags and leave them out on the table where you came in. We're going to reuse those. Please leave those name tags with us. I also want to announce our next event. The next Managers Forum event is the Media Relations Brown Bag Lunch with Diana Keys, who's here somewhere. Thank you, Diana. And that's going to be on Tuesday, November 17th at 11:30 a.m. at 2728 Capitol Boulevard in the large training room. So put that on your calendars. All right, you ready for presentations? We're going to start in the left front corner over here with the triangles. If you'll bring your big piece of paper up, we'll stick it on the board right here, and then you can present. You're going to have 5 minutes, everybody. Just 5 minutes. I'm going to hold you to it.
To attract, you know, what you were saying, trying to get those technology generation.
All right, our group was the triangles, and we were focusing on the strategic goal number 6, which was more effective environmental regulation. Some of our initial reactions was, can there actually be a good cop? Can there be a friendly, officer friendly out there? Or is it just the nature of regulation that's going to give you a negative aspect from the citizenry? So we had a good discussion on that. Another reaction that came out was that in the field, away from Wake County and away from Raleigh, there's a very negative view of DENR, as they don't understand what's going out in the field or away from Raleigh and away from the inside the Beltline crowd. So those are 2 reactions that came up that we needed to address. Some of our recommendations, one of the main things was communication. Communication with the citizenry, communication between the divisions, and potentially, as Dr. Jones highlighted, maybe leveraging some of our citizen fun interfaces, such as the zoo and the museums and the aquariums, the Museum of Forestry, highlighted in our group, to get out to those outer areas and connect with the citizenry and have a message about enforcement and how it comes back and impacts to environmental outcomes. Our implementation ideas coming out here was focused enforcement on the type of violator. If you're a repeat violator, you have increased enforcement and maybe increased scrutiny, repeat visits and inspections to follow through. But if you're an environmental steward, you don't have those type of heavy regulation schedules. Maybe you drop some of those or have a different type of planning. We talked a little bit about EMS, the environmental management systems. Maybe if you have one of those in place, you have a different type of enforcement scheme for those stewards or people who are implementing those plans, which actually help them find and discover violations themselves. But if they're reporting them, they don't get punished because they're doing a good job at outing their violations. Another great topic was traffic school. I think this was an idea that Robin Smith had come up with a couple of years ago. We floated it in the General Assembly, but it turned out to be a very bad year to do it. But just like when you have traffic violations, that if you are a first-time violator of a small impact or harm to the environment, that you would have an option rather than just paying out money of going to an environmental school, learning about the environments, the consequence of your impacts, and potentially having that written off. That would need legislation because we do have case law now that will not let us trade penalties for projects. So that would be a change in there. But probably along with this, that was a great idea, kind of a laugh, but just developing some more options for resolving violations other than just penalties was a good theme. And then realizing that if we did try and centralize all our enforcement into one size-fits-all, it probably would not work because the divisions do have very specific programs. We hear a lot of complaints from citizenry about, I just want to see DENR once, I don't want to see water quality and land resources and soil and water and the core. I want it all to be in one package. But there is some problems with that. So just realizing that it's going to need to be addressed and understood. So maybe that's part of the communication piece. And then we had our one radical idea, which was let citizens report violations on Facebook. And potentially just give them the handbook on how to create enforcement action and see what they could do against each other. So that was the wrap up of our discussion. Yeah, post to Facebook. DENR page. Any questions on our or reactions on some of our crazy ideas? Julie?
Thank you. Oh, Facebook, getting into the social marketing. We are in the 21st century. Next, we're going to hear from the Diamond Group in the far back. Good afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sheila Holman. I'm with the Division of Air Quality, and my group was addressing goal number 2, sustaining clean air for the future, which might explain why I'm a spokesperson. So I've got to talk to the planning committee to see how I got set up for this one. But thanks to my group, I got some really good feedback as we talked about the reactions. And the first one is that the strategic plan currently doesn't recognize that other divisions certainly play a role as we're implementing clean air strategies. So maybe the thing should say Division of Air Quality and others. The second is that DAC is recognized within DENR as being the mean agency. And the point there is looking at regulatory flexibility to try and balance what the rules say, but also allowing economy to continue to develop, that we're not saying no to every project. So that was really interesting to hear that we're the mean agency. The meaner leader. Yeah. That could be the name of our newsletter. I think the other thing to recognize is that the Division of Air Quality is not really in control of our destiny. We react in response to the Clean Air Act, to EPA and federal regulations. And right now, they are in the process, EPA is in the process of reviewing, I think, all 6 of the criteria pollutant standards. And in particular, they're looking at the ground level ozone standard. EPA is reconsidering that standard, and it's likely going to have a very significant impact on North Carolina. So the point being that from 09 to 13, the goals may need to change a little bit just in response to new federal mandates. In terms of recommendations, we should probably write in the strategic plan that we need to be partnering with other states. We heard about this morning that the water example. Air is another clear example where the air doesn't stop at the border. What Tennessee does impacts North Carolina. What we do may impact Virginia, and so on. And the reality is we are working very closely with the southeastern states, the 9 other southeastern states. We have been for a number of years, but to recognize that would have been good. And also, right in the plan, partnering with other state agencies. We talk about it in terms of the diesel emission reductions within goal number 2, but just in a broader perspective, how do we as a state achieve transportation, economic, environmental goals? And actually, one of the suggestions that came out of the SIP summit that Keith and I attended back in September, it was hosted by South Carolina, but one of the recommendations from David Farron from the Southern Environmental Law Center was that there be a broader strategic planning across pollutants, across issues, across media within North Carolina. In terms of implementation, Mary Penny talked about communication. We've got that done as well. Better communicating the goals and the needs. An example was, why is it that we need an inspection and maintenance program? Why, as a citizen, do I need to go pay $30 for a vehicle inspection each year? Communicating those needs. And then going on to communications. Actually, there's 2 serious recommendations before I get to the last one. One of the ideas was that maybe as a department, we should recognize best practices. And one of the kudos that we got from Air Quality is that we've done a great job with outreach and communicating the Air Quality Index. What's your color code for that today? Is it a code green day? Is it a code orange day?